Hello Internet people and welcome to Vlogmas day 22. We are getting down to the wire here. We just have 2 more videos after this one left of Vlogmas. Today I'm going to tell you my 2022 sewing resolutions. I recently talked about my Make 9 sewing goals for 2022, but I wanted to also create some broader goals than just what I wanted to sew in 2022. Just a few things outside of the actual sewing process, but still related to my sewing life. Now you may be thinking to yourself, Katie, you already have a whole Make 9. How are you going to do that? Plus more resolutions, which are just more goals. And great question. I'm here to tell you that I'm the kind of person that makes lots and lots of goals at the beginning of the year and then they just kind of fizzle out. But for me, the process of creating the goals is actually equal to or maybe more valuable than actually sticking to the goal. And I feel like that kind of reflection on the past year is where I do a lot of my personal growth and learning. So anyways, I don't know if that resonates with anybody out there, but here we are. So we're just going to go with it. Before we get started though, let's open today's Kylie and the Machine advent calendar for day 22. We only have 3 windows left. There's day 22 here. So let's see what we have. So cute, a bunch of little sewing symbols, thread, scissors, sewing machine, ruler. I don't know what that other thing is. A flower. No, a button. It's a button. It's a button. Okay, so anyways, let's get on with the resolutions. Okay, number 1, figure out a way to use my bigger scraps and odd lengths of fabric. So I store all my fabric and patterns in this dresser here, and ideally I would like all of my fabric to fit in the dresser, but right now it is completely full, and I even have a whole box of overflow, and I have fabric up here on the top it doesn't fit. So one of the drawers is completely dedicated to bigger scraps. It's this one right here. And I also have remnants from projects scattered throughout. I seem to have a lot of pieces that are leftovers that are larger, but they're not quite large enough for a whole nother project. So basically my bigger scraps and odd lengths of fabric are starting to pile up. They're taking up too much precious space and I need to find a way to deal with them. So I need to scour the internet for all of those scrap busting ideas, make some time and try to use them up in some sort of creative way. Now, I know there are tons of ideas out there for different ways to go about this, so I just really need to sit down and do some research and think about my scraps and come up with some sort of creative way to free up space in my dresser and keep my space more organized, because there's not a lot of space for unorganization up here. It devolves into chaos way too fast. So in order to be more organized, I need to deal with my scraps this year. Number 2, try and sew a minimum amount every day. So during October, I sewed for an hour a day, and I really found it to be a great habit and really beneficial not only to my productivity, but also to my mental health. And that was a surprise to me at the time. I didn't realize how much sewing every day helped to ground me and center me. And so in the new year, I'd like to try and take maybe, 30 minutes or an hour every day to sew, or do a sewing chore like, pressing fabric to get it ready for cutting, or cutting out a pattern, or, whatever, things like that. So I think I might try to start with 30 minutes and see how that goes, and then maybe work my way up to an hour a day. I'll always have days where I'll be able to sew in big chunks of time, but for those busier days, I think it'll be really good for me just to try to do something just a little bit sewing related every day, even if it's just 15 minutes. What do you think, Juki? Think 15 minutes a day? She didn't answer, but I think her answer is yes. Number 3, explore different uses for my presser feet. I know there are so many tips and tricks out there for using presser feet, and I feel like I have barely scratched the surface with really utilizing them to their full potential. And I don't even know how the rolled hem foot works. I tried it once and I did not get the hang of it, and so I just have never gone back to it. Same with the blind hem foot. I I never figured it out. So this coming year, I really want to figure out different ways to use them to their maximum potential for both my sewing machine and my serger, because both of them have a lot of different feet and I want to know how to use them. Number 4, I need to organize my pattern stash with Trello. I have 4 PDF plotting boxes here, and I have 2 drawers of patterns in the dresser. And some of the patterns in the PDF plotting boxes I've used and left as rolled up patterns, and some I haven't even made yet. This year I started buying a lot more PDF patterns, and I'm starting to forget what I have since I can't really just flip through it like I could a drawer with all the pattern envelopes in it. Also, I've downloaded a bunch of free patterns lately, and I feel like I forget them because I just flippantly download them really quick because they're free, and then I completely forget about them. So both Michelle from Michelle Sews Again and Sarah from Naughty Gnome Crafts and a bunch of other people I'm probably forgetting right now, they all have videos on their channel about how they use Trello to organize their patterns, and it's super inspiring, and I want to be cool and organized too. So it's definitely going to be a process, but I think it'll really make it a lot easier to see what I have and utilize the patterns in my stash, because then I won't forget about them. Okay, last but not least, number 5. This is a really simple one, but I'm a really messy sewer, so I have to start trying to clean as I go when I sew. You know, I have such a small sewing space. I have 2 machines on this little table, and then I let pattern pieces and pins and clips and seam ripper and instructions and whatever all piles up on my table while I'm working, and then thread is everywhere, and I start to lose my seam ripper, and then things start falling off the table, and then things are falling off the loft, and the whole thing just evolves into absolute chaos. So I have to try and find a way to be a little more organized when I sew, and I think that will really, I think it'll really make it a lot less stressful, and I think it'll make it more enjoyable overall. So those are my 5 sewing resolutions for 2022. And with that, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling ready for the new year. I'm ready to leave 2021 behind and start 2022. So that is all I have for you for Vlogmas Day 22. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you tomorrow for the penultimate episode of Vlogmas Day 23.